Muhammad's first impression of his revelations was that they were demonic in origin. Muhammad's first impression of his revelations was that they were demonic. So you've heard that Muhammad received revelations through the angel Gabriel. That was a later Muslim position. Muhammad eventually came to believe that. But when he first started receiving revelations, he did not have a very good opinion of them. And let me go ahead and read the passage. This is from Ibn Ishaq's Surat Rasulullah. This describes the night that Muhammad began receiving revelations. When it was the night on which God honored him with his mission and showed mercy on his servants thereby, Gabriel brought him the command of God. He came to me, said the apostle of God, while I was asleep, with a coverlet of brocade whereupon was some writing, and said, "Read." I said, "What shall I read?" He pressed me with it so tightly that I thought it was death. Then he let me go and said, "Read." I said, "What shall I read?" He pressed me with it again so that I thought it was death. Then he let me go and said, "Read." I said, "What shall I read?" He pressed me with it the third time so that I thought it was death and said, "Read." I said, "What then shall I read?" And this I said only to deliver myself from him, lest he should do the same to me again. He said, "Read in the name of thy Lord who created man of blood coagulated. Read, thy Lord is the most beneficent, who taught by the pen, taught that which he knew not unto men." So I read it, and he departed from me, and I woke from my sleep, and it was as though these words were written on my heart. So that's the first revelation that Muhammad received from what he would eventually regard as the angel Gabriel. But here's the important point. When Muhammad ran out of that cave, terrified, he didn't think that he had encountered the angel Gabriel. He believed that he was possessed. So anyway, the passage continues. Now, none of God's creatures was more hateful to me than an ecstatic poet or a man possessed. I could not even look at them. I thought, "Woe is me, poet or possessed. Never shall Quraysh say this of me." So Muhammad didn't want his tribe to realize that he was possessed. And so he came up with a plan, which is actually going to be our next point. But think about this. Sometimes, my friends, first impressions are the correct ones, right? And when Muhammad encountered whatever it was that he encountered, when it keeps pressing on him until he thinks it's death, he thinks it's something profoundly bad. He doesn't think, "Oh, I've encountered the Lord, I've encountered one of his angels." He doesn't think that. He thinks this is something very, very bad. And it's actually other people who convinced him, "No, it wasn't something demonic. That was an angel." It wasn't anyone who was there either, right?
Assalamu alaikum and hello to my non-Muslim viewers. Today I'm going to be talking about or refuting David Wood's video where he says the Prophet Muhammad thought that he was demon possessed, or he thought some demonic force instead of Gabriel came to him in the cave. And the source he cites again is this book, The Life of Muhammad, a translation of Ibn Ishaq's Sirat Rasulullah by Refuting David Wood. And the page he cites is it's page 106, where he said that he went back to Khadija. And he thought that the spirit or Gabriel was a demon, or Prophet Muhammad thought he was demon possessed, and things like that. And this again, the whole story is found on page 106, where he says that. He thinks he's demon possessed, and Gabriel is where he says, "I've been sent a message of thee, and return, and I said to her, woe to me, a poet or possessed." So basically, David Wood is basically trying to say is that the Prophet Muhammad thought that he was demon possessed at first when he saw Angel Gabriel, and this found, and the source he's citing is 106 of Ibn Ishaq's book, which is this book right here. So, well, my brief response, I'm going to try to keep this video as short as possible. So I'll get right to the point. The point is that, if you're a man living in the 5th or 6th century Arabia, and you see an angel, and you don't know anything about the Old Testament, you don't know anything about the New, you don't know anything about the biblical stories, and your tribe is mostly pagan, and you basically don't know about the stories that came before. You don't know about Greco-Roman mythology, or you don't know about the Bible, you don't know about the Old Testament and New Testament, and you don't know about the stories from the people of Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, the people of the Roman Empire, which would be modern day Europe, and basically you don't know the stories of the biblical figures and the other stories, the other mythologies and stories from before. If you're a man in the 6th century and an angel comes to you, and you're around people who worship demons and pagans and idols and stuff like that, what are you going to think? Are you going to think, yeah, that's the same angel, that's the angel Gabriel, the same angel that announced the virgin birth to the Virgin Mary, or the same angel Gabriel that's found in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament? Are you going to honestly say that? Or are you just going to be a product of your time? And are you going to say, that I'm scared, I'm terrified, I don't know what this is, so I'm just going to presume it's a demon? So realistically, you gotta think about what your first impression is going to be. If you're a man in the 5th or 6th century Arabia, you're not going to be like, yeah, that's an angel, and this is an angel from God. You're going to be terrified. If a man living in the 5th century sees some kind of supernatural figure, he's going to think that this supernatural figure isn't an angel. He's going to presume the worst, because he's around people, and he's around pagans and people who think who have superstitions about demons and jinns and stuff like that. So he's going to think he's going to have a tribal mindset of his time, going to be like, yeah, that angel Gabriel is really a demon and stuff like that. So this is kind of nonsense, what David Wood is saying, because if angel Gabriel came to David Wood right now, is David Wood going to be like, yeah, that's an angel? Or is he going to go is he going to go to a mental hospital? Is he going to call his mom and say, yep, I got to go back to the mental hospital because I'm seeing angels and I'm seeing visions of angels and stuff like that? What are you realistically going to think? If I say, I see an angel, are you going to believe me? Are you going to have me escorted to a psychiatric facility or a mental hospital? Or are you going to prescribe me some anti-hallucinogens or something like that? What do you think is going to happen? So that's what the Prophet Muhammad was thinking. He was thinking, I never saw an angel before, so this angel must be a demon or devil or something like that. So, or he must think he's possessed, because realistically, you're not going to be, if an angel suddenly comes to you, even though you don't know anything about the Old Testament or New Testament figures or anything like that, if an angel comes to you, you're going to think the worst. You're going to think, yeah, that's a demon or anything like that. So the prophet, and then another thing is, this story actually confirms the Prophet Muhammad is a prophet, because Christians can't use this story against the Prophet Muhammad. And the reason why is because if you read Sahih al-Bukhari, if you read the authentic sources from Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith number 3, and this is in the internet, or the USC MSA web reference is Bukhari Volume 1, Book 1, Hadith 3. But anyways, if you have the book version of Sahih Bukhari, it's Sahih Bukhari Volume 1, Hadith number 3. But anyways, when the Prophet Muhammad went to Khadija took him to a Christian. Notice how it's a Christian, not a Jew, not a pagan, not a not anybody else, but Khadija had a Christian cousin named Waraka bin Nufal bin Asad bin Abdul Uzza. So let's just call him Waraka bin Nufal for short. But anyways, he was a Christian, and he used to write the gospel in Hebrew, whatever that was at that time. It certainly wasn't the New Testament, but it was just some Arab version of the gospel, whatever it was. But anyways, so a Christian confirms that the Prophet Muhammad saw a real angel, that this was the angel Gabriel whom Allah had sent to Moses. So Waraka bin Nufal, not a Jew, not a pagan, but a Christian actually confirms that the Prophet Muhammad saw an angel of God, the same God of Moses. And he says the secrets of angel Gabriel, whom Allah had sent to Moses. So basically, Waraka bin Nawfal is basically confirming that the Prophet Muhammad saw angel Gabriel, the same angel Gabriel of the Old Testament and the same angel Gabriel in the Gospel of Luke. So a Christian is confirming, a Christian Waraka bin Nawfal, according to authentic Islamic sources, which is Sahih Bukhari, Hadith number 3, he's confirming that the Prophet Muhammad saw a real angel. So that means that the Prophet Muhammad was not demon possessed. He actually saw the same angel from the Old Testament and the New Testament. So this is a Christian confirming it. So if David Wood wants to be consistent, he has to go along with Waraka bin Nawfal's assessment that, yeah, that's a real angel. That's a real angel from the God of Moses, from the God of Abraham, from the God of the Old Testament and God of the New Testament. This is the angel Gabriel. So David Wood has to be consistent. He can't just take out some of the story and accept, accept parts of the story he wants to accept. No, he has to accept the whole story. And the whole story is found in Sahih Bukhari, Volume 3. Where the Prophet Muhammad at first, yes, that's true that he thought he was demon possessed, because realistically, if an angel comes to you, you're not going to be like, yeah, taking notes, Colin. Yeah, you're an angel from God. Yeah, tell me what to do. I'll take notes. No, you're going to be terrified out of your mind, because that's a supernatural figure, and you're living in the naturalistic Arabian Peninsula where there's date trees and there's people and there's no supernatural beings. So if a supernatural being comes to you, you're going to be terrified out of your mind. You're going to be like, what the hell's going on, and stuff like that. You're not going to be like, yeah, this is angel Gabriel. Yeah, tell me what to tell. Tell me what to tell the people. I'll write it down. You got God's prophecies. Yeah, I'll write it down. No, you're going to be like, what? This is terrifying stuff. So Prophet Muhammad reacted naturally, like any man would react at his time, who didn't know about the Old Testament, the New Testament, who didn't know about the figures from the past, the New Testament and Old Testament figures and stuff like that. So of course he's going to think he's demon possessed, because that was just his culture at the time. They used to believe in idols and pagans and demons and jinns and demonic forces and stuff like that. That was just the way that was just the culture, his pagan culture that he was raised up in. It's not really his fault. He was just following whatever the customs were at his time. So so you have to look at the full story, and the full story is that Waraka bin Nawfal confirmed that the Prophet Muhammad saw a real angel, the same angel of the Old Testament, the same angel of the New Testament. So if David Wood wants to be consistent, he has to accept all the story, not part of the story where the Prophet Muhammad thought he was possessed and then just draw conclusions from that. No, he has to accept the whole story. For example, if I go to the New Testament, if I rip the Paraclete passage out of the Gospel of John and throw it out there and say, yeah, that's talking about the Prophet Muhammad, and rip it out of context and throw it out there, about the Paraclete, and then Christians will be like, no, that's the Holy Spirit, because you got to look at the context. But if I'm stubborn, if I just take things out of context, if I just take the Paraclete saying out of the Gospel of John, throw it out there and spin my own interpretation and say, yeah, that's Muhammad, even though every Christian in the world is telling me, no, that's the Holy Spirit, then the problems with me, because I'm just ripping things out of context and just throwing and just spinning my own interpretation, saying, yeah, the Paraclete refers to Muhammad, even though to be honest, it doesn't look that way, because you read the context, it doesn't look that way. So but Christians would but some Muslims do that. They take things out of context in the New Testament, they throw it out there and spin on their own interpretation, say, yeah, that's talking about the Paraclete's really Muhammad and stuff like that. Well, even though there's no real evidence to support that. But anyways, Christians wouldn't like it if I did that. So why does David Wood do that to Muslim sources? He's got to read the entire story, not rip things out of context, throw it out there and spin his own interpretations. It doesn't work that way. People shouldn't do that Muslims shouldn't do that with the New Testament, and Christians shouldn't do that with the Hadith and the Sirah source and the biography sources and stuff like that. So basically, this whole story can be answered that the Prophet Muhammad at first thought he was possessed. Then later on, when he talked to Waraka bin Nawfal, confirmed that, yeah, that's the same angel that was sent to that was sent in Old Testament times to Moses, and the same Gabriel in the New Testament times that was sent in the Gospel of Luke to the Virgin Mary, etc., etc. So basically, this is David Wood's just not being consistent with the material, but I don't expect him to be consistent with Islamic with the text of Islam. He'll never be consistent with the material. So, but this is just my take on, this is just me correcting some of his mistakes he's making in that video. So the Prophet Muhammad really saw the angel Gabriel, same angel Gabriel that was in the New Testament, and same angel Gabriel that was in the Old Testament. So that's all I want to say about that. Thanks, Saul.